Hello. Oh, okay, Richie. We have song requests, disabled for now for obvious reasons. But welcome, guys. Welcome everyone to episode 8, finally, of the Bandit Hideaway show. And it's good to be back. Is all I can say. It's been a while since we had an episode, and I'm really glad that we could have such lovely people on with us today, except for Rasheed. And I really can't wait to discuss about what we're going to discuss, basically. So before we begin, and before I talk about the topics at hand, let's quickly introduce everyone, shall we? So let's begin with our first guest here, Quill and Lance. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good. It's Rasheed almost baited me that I was about to say Monday even again, but a happy Friday.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, BJ, that is true. But Quill is a beautiful human. I just had to do what I did. So why don't you tell us more about yourself, Quill? Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
I'm Lance, Quill and Lance. I mean, pick whatever you want. I don't really care what you call me. I don't know. I sit in Twitch chat and make mom jokes basically these days. So I don't know. I ran a tournament series for 7 months, something like that. Mm-hmm. And taking a little break now, and hopefully going to come back with a new interesting format again when the competitive season's over. So that's I don't have so much to plan around.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. That's a good intro. Thank you for that. And then we have the lovely Cceely. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me. Also excited for the weekend and doing pretty good.
Always a pleasure to have you on. And would you please introduce yourself for the lovely audience here today?
Sure thing. I'm Cceely, and I stream Gwent on Twitch a couple of times a week. It's summer, so I'll be streaming a little bit more. And maybe you've seen me cast some community tournaments, maybe some qualifiers. It's a lot of fun. So I'm here and I do that.
All right. Thank you for that. And then, Rasheed, can you stop smoking?
What?
I mean, let me at least introduce you. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Rasheed? I'm smoking again.
Hi, I'm Rasheed. I play Gwent till my OnlyFans career takes off. So yeah, enjoy it while you can.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
I see. All right. And apart from Emil, do you have any other thoughts on Gwent?
I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay. So I can't wait to hear them, yeah? All right. So, okay. So let's get down to the topics, guys. So today we will be talking about 2 major topics. As you can see, the first one is said here to be the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Which is nothing but, talking about the patch and what was good about it, what was bad about it, and what was really, really, really bad about it, right? So... and the second one, which is casting and streaming, well, it's kind of obvious. We're going to be talking in general about casting because, of course, Lance and Cceely, as you guys know, are also a great casting duo. I do not know about Rasheed, and we'll be talking about streaming as well in general when it comes to Gwent nowadays. So beginning with topic number 1, right? And as BJ said, let's do that. Let's go ladies first here, okay? So Cceely.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the patch? Just in general, what would you like to say?
Overall, I think my thoughts on the patch are very positive. I was really excited with all the new cards. So we've seen a lot more new kind of decks that we didn't see before. Obviously, the new cards were released. So I think what the patch brought us was a lot to play around with, a lot of new types of decks going around, which I think is really fun. And in general, I think I like the idea of releasing a couple of cards. You give people time to kind of, really figure them out and play around with them before the next set of cards come. It doesn't feel like kind of overwhelming either. So I'm kind of here for these smaller expansions that Price of Power seems to be doing. So overall, I would say positive for me.
All right, well put. Quill, what would you like to say about the patch?
I'm pretty excited. We have the new iteration of Horn Pass, kind of breaking into the meta here with the pincer maneuver, right? The full test pass. temple patch. We've seen a lot of very, very fun interaction, and it's very fun to see like a defender in full test prop down and then just game over. So pretty exciting stuff there. Scenarios all over the place. Sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't played too much in the past couple weeks, but I did play a lot on launch, and I mean, there's some other things kind of floating around there. I mean, Cloggers is obviously still around to everybody's dismay, but yeah, Monsters getting a nice new Smorky deck with Koshi getting that buff, so it's about it, I guess.
All right, so that's your general thought, right? But and you did mention about Ball and stuff, and isn't it sad to see that Ball is still in the meta after so many months? I mean, it is literally, I think, the meta NG deck which has been there on the ladder the whole time, which is pretty annoying. But I mean, at least there are a few people out there who play something different, like a hyper thin deck or something like a Clogger deck. But even the Clogger is not that nice. But in general, I guess the faultist one is the real definition of NR being kind of like a powerhouse to be dealt with, right? So that's understandable. Good general thought. Rashid, what would you like to say? Yeah, go ahead, Quill, if you have.
I was gonna say what you will about Ball still being around. The holy triad of monsters got broken up a little bit at least. So
true.
Kelly seems like a little less. I hate that deck, dude.
You're talking about Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kelly. Yeah. What do you hate about Kelly? Like, what's the thing that pinches you about Kelly?
Everything, like the whole basis of the deck revolving around one super broken card, and I don't know. I just it's disgusting. And then oftentimes you just lose to yourself. So yeah, it's not a fan.
All right, okay, it makes sense. Yeah, and it is hard to pilot at the same time, right? So it can be a kind of a double-edged sword where you think it's a strong deck, you play it yourself, and then you lose, and then you wonder what's wrong, and then you just play V or something, which is pretty annoying. So yeah, that's the part that is horrible. And anything else, Quill? Anything else you would like to add? All right.
No. Okay.
All right. And Rashid, what would you like to say about the thoughts on the patch in general?
I fucking hate it.
Okay.
Dude, I don't know what it is, but it feels like we reached the point where it's like everyone has way too many provisions and way too many strong engines, and it's just frustrating. If you don't play like meta decks, meme decks are so bad right now.
That is true. It's like you're restricted to, playing a certain style of a deck, and if you don't have the answer to some of them, you just auto lose basically, right?
Yep.
But so what is the thing that you hate? Like, what did you face on ladder that really, pinched you so hard that you hate this patch so much?
I don't know.
Please say pincer.
No, I'm like,
go with the pun.
Rashid. I hate scenarios by design in every card game I played. It's not pincer itself that's the issue. It's scenarios. I hate scenarios by design. They're so stupid.
Okay, yeah, I can get around that. I myself do not like scenarios. I would really hope if they delete it, I really don't mind. It's, I think, something that is me for the game. It's not really something that's necessary. But was it only scenarios? Like, what did you have? Like, what did you face? Faultist, as Quill mentioned.
Yeah, but Faultist also runs Siege and sometimes Commandos.
So you're saying it's even more degenerate?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
was also Lippy. I can't wait for Lippy to be removed, honestly. That's the first card I want removed, then Masquerade Ball.
You want that to be removed first. Many people would say Ball is the card that they want to
No,
remove.
Lippy first.
Wow, okay. But is Lippy really that famous on the ladder? Have any of you faced Lippy, like, much this season?
It was a little bit favored when people were kind of trying to win against Colgrim decks, I believe. That's when Lippy kind of came around, but I feel like it's definitely disappeared. I wouldn't say Lippy's even close to being one of the issues with Gwent right now, but of course I can't speak for Rashid and his ladder experience. Lippy's not really one of the problems. Like if we're talking about problems, I'm actually pretty surprised that Rashid absolutely hates this patch, but each to their own. I, for one, don't have a problem with scenarios. I think they're really cool card design, and I do like the power that they bring you. Of course, it does depend on drawing them or not, and it's a lot of provisions you pay for it. So if you miss out on it, it kind of isn't that great. And then I think in terms of like what's problematic about this patch, it would be something like maybe Syndicate Bleed being a little bit overpowered. Other than that, honestly, I have a hard time seeing like that many issues with this patch. And that's why I'm actually liking it so much, because I feel like it's fairly balanced. Maybe I can get a little bit behind the statement that Rasheed, pulled with the meme decks being quite terrible. I've been playing a couple of those, and homebrewed decks, I mean, usually they're a little bit weaker, but I maybe especially now, maybe, but I feel like there's a lot of valid archetypes for most factions, except for maybe Squirtle, but that's
I think Squirtle and Skellige were the two factions this season which were really not finding that much fun, right? Because I think Skellige only finds a lot of fun against maybe Nilfgaard, but when it comes to Syndicate and when it comes to NR, I think Skellige just has a really hard time to survive. Same goes with Squirtle, right? I think Squirtle is also like the only faction that can actually go up against NG purely because of purification, right? With all the nature's, Dryad's caresses and whatnot, and what I think the list that Red Rame kind of made famous with the non-devotion thick god deck that he likes to call. So yeah, it's sad to see again another faction getting suppressed, right? There's always that one faction that gets kind of suppressed. It used to be Syndicate, and then it used to be Northern Realms, and now it is Squirtle. So it's sad not to have all stuff balanced. But yeah,
I kind of agree with that, but then I also feel like we have a lot of factions that are on a similar power level, when usually it's like one faction is way ahead of the others, like Syndicate's been, Skellige's been, all of that. So now we have kind of like 4 factions that are kind of equal in, at least 3 that are pretty equal in power level. Syndicate would be at the top, but then right after that, I think neck and neck are NR and NG. And as your 4th deck, you could either go MO or Skellige. I think Squirtle is, just like you said, a little bit behind, but I think it's pretty cool that we have so many decks that are still quite equal in power level. I think Syndicate is a bit above the rest, but other than that, pretty balanced, I would say.
Syndicate has like 3 viable leaders, right? Which is a lot to say. Usually having 3 viable leaders in a meta is no joke. It depends on how your playstyle is. Like, I think you yourself play line pockets, right, Cceely? For example.
Made it harder for myself when I could just be playing jackpot now.
Exactly. So it's all personal taste, right? Like, Quill, what do you play as Syndicate?
I haven't touched it. I stopped playing before I got to Syndicate this season.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Syndicate's just the core of it's just really, 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 really strong right now. I mean, there's a lot of like mid-end and top-end cards that are just really good. So you can just, I think it's actually kind of a problem that leaders are so easily just slotted in here, because that's just showing how strong the faction as a whole is right now, that you can just throw these leaders and it's fine. It's fine, I'm Syndicate. But I think more of my issue with this patch is that it's really, really seems heavily focused, more so than I feel like other ones, on order advantage and round control. Like, the NR mirrors are just stupid right now. Like, okay, you win round 1, okay. All right, I'm always going to go drop my siege round 2, and I'm going to smork, and haha, I have order advantage, so I win. Like, I don't know. I feel like that problem is really accentuated with this patch, but...
But would you say that Northern Realms is in a good position now, compared to, like, is it overtuned, or is it in a good position? What would you say about that? I don't know. I'm a little confused.
I don't think it's overtuned. No, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that NR is specifically the problem. I'm saying the problem of just order advantage being such like a key to victory here that, like, I don't know. Like, I've seen so many games just decided in round 1 where, like, I just see people slamming a defender into full test pass, and then boom, I get my long round with order advantage. Like, they're spending like 3 cards to go down just to make up this 4 points a turn with full test, and it's like, okay. Fun match. I slam my sometimes defender, I slam my full test, and I pass. Awesome.
So you wouldn't consider that overtuned as such? Like, if it just works every time, something?
It's more just like abusive, right? Like, it doesn't work every single time unless you're like Pincer. Pincer's the consistent way to do it, but
All right. And what would you say about that CD? Do you think NR is overtuned, or is it in a good state right now?
I definitely agree with what Lance said about
Okay.
kind of the first day advantage being really detrimental, like really big, especially in NR mirrors. Like you have the siege in a round where you, let's say, I mean, against anything really, you win round 1, you can push with the siege immediately. That can be such a strong play to pull, but of course the consistency is a bit of an issue. What I do like though is that if you do play Pincer to guarantee that consistency, it can still lose to other things, such as it doesn't have control like the other Zeal deck from NR that we've seen, with like the one that was in the past or this weekend's qualies, the one before, where you had the dual deck. That one doesn't maybe draw as consistently, but it does have the control options with Selkirk and Inseus, which then again the Pincer deck doesn't have. So I think NR is in a good spot in that way that you can't get everything. You kind of have to choose which strategy to go for as well. And comparing to Syndicate, I don't think anything is overtuned. So
that is
I do think NR is pretty, I like seeing NR at this level. It's pretty strong. The only maybe issue is that every NR deck that is good seems to have Siege in them. So maybe you're making a point with the scenario as being a little bit too strong for NR especially now. But I think it comes down to the bronzes, the ballistas. They're literally just pew 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 engines.
Sure.
So strong this patch around, and I think maybe it's those bronzes that are kind of sneaking up on you with in combination of the Siege, of course, or a Dahlia reinforcements. They're pretty crazy.
That's true, and I think the main thing that I see a lot of people saying is that, hey, there's Foltest Pride, which got this kind of a tune as well to, make it a good card and stuff like that. Like when we saw it in the patch notes, we were like, oh, it's going to be a better tunnel drill. But to be fair, when we see the reinforced ballista, you don't even need Foltest Pride, right? I think many people don't even run Pride when you have stuff like Adelia and you have the reinforced ballista. Right, it's literally cooldown 1, and if you play a warfare, it gets reset. So you can basically use it twice in a round if you play a warfare in a turn. If you play it with a warfare card, which is kind of crazy. Would we expect a cooldown 2 on it again? Maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. I think we might see it. It definitely is a strong card. I'm not sure if it's on the list of like first cards to get some kind of a nerf, but we might see something like that.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Rasheed hasn't said anything in a while. Rasheed, what do you think about the NR Siege as they were commenting?
Fine. Don't nerf it.
But what about Siege? Do you think Siege is overtuned, or do you think Siege is in its right place?
I honestly don't think Siege is the problem. I think Ballista is the problem.
So, as Cceely said, right, it goes down to the bronzes again. Right, okay. So, I think we are talking about, if you're talking about specifics, I think if we come down now to NG, now we know what we're going to talk about with NG. It's pretty easy. The Blight Makers, right? I think that card with the Mage Assassin combo is just, I think, the best double card combo in the game right now. Like the duo, the pairing that those two cards have. So what do you guys have? Like, what would you comment on that? Anyone can begin. It's not a specific.
Okay, I can go first.
Okay, go ahead.
The problem, I think, isn't just having these two cards. It's the fact that NG can thin so much consistently. They have that. They have Dead Man's Tongue, is it?
Yes, Tongue.
Yeah. Like, they have so many ways to thin, and that's the problem. It's more consistent than any other faction, I think.
True.
So they have...
Yeah,
they have more consistency now. Like it's relatively cheap and it's a lot of tempo. Like that's more over the problem. And that was the big limiting thing for a lot of ball decks, right? Is like there's so many times you just miss your ball and that's like a kick weight. So now you have, I mean, you still run like a card like Roderick, and Joachim's also thinning as well potentially. You're very easily able to get down to like that 3 or 4 card range where you're just not missing.
True. Cceely, would you like to add anything?
I absolutely second this, especially with the tempo. I think Elf Guardian's wet dream at the moment is finding double Blightmaker, Dead Man's Tongue, and really not, bricking your Mage Assassins, which can happen, but that consistency, tempo, and thinning in round 1 is so valuable, especially for a ball deck. And the consistency of it, of course. Ball is so expensive now that you really want to make sure you can draw it, and you can run Devotion and pretty much always draw it, which is kind of crazy. But then I think also Dead Man's Tongue is nice because it not only, I mean, if you miss it early on, you can still benefit from having golds in your deck just by also playing points on the board in round 3 with Dead Man's Tongue. So pretty good, pretty neat card. And of course, we know about the bug that came along with Dead Man's Tongue, that you were able to see your deck in order, like Maxi would show you, which obviously makes it even more strong, which wasn't intended, but that's, I guess, going to be removed.
That's the thing, right? It's hard to call that a bug, right? It's basically the code that they've written for the card. I think they just forgot to write in the random keyword, to show the deck in random or something, it's like that small detail. I think if I remember correctly, I think Amphibious had the same issue when it was I think first introduced. I think Amphibious Assault had that issue as well, and it was changed in the next patch. But maybe they could have hot fixed it. But okay, as everyone knows about it, fine. I guess for one season we can deal with it, right? If a select people knew it and were abusing that accurately banish their bronzes so that you can use your Joachim at the right time and things like that, it is kind of unfair, right? Because I think only that faction can really do that at a devotion level without Maxi. So that's the thing. As I think even Rasheed mentioned, there's so much consistency in NG now that Blightmakers feels overtuned, right? Because you have DMT, you have Roderick, you have Joachim, right? So
I mean, even in a non-consistent faction, though, Blightmaker's overtuned. Like, it's just an insanely strong card for literally any deck out there.
True. But if they have to really tune the card, or make it a more or less toxic one, I don't know what word to use, but maybe less tempo-y card, what do you think can be a valuable change to that card? Or the Mage Assassin? Can be either, right? Who knows? So what do you think could be the change? Wow, you guys are really in a deep thought here, aren't you?
I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. Like,
yeah,
I just don't want to do that interruption thing. Man. I don't know. Like, provisionally tweaking it would have to be something significant. So, like, that's a little bit hard to say. Because I mean, you would gladly pay a lot more for this package. Even, I mean, you could do tempo wise too. Just take points off of them. But I do like the idea of the card. Like, its effect is a good effect. It's just way too cheap and way too many points.
Yeah, it's basically you're spending 9 provisions to get thinning and potential 11 points tempo, right? 11 points is no joke, right? It's like, I think even the Bear Witcher we thought is so much tempo, being an 8 for 5 with the location and things like that. But this is just on a whole other level because it's with thinning as well. Like the Devotion NG literally thins like 3 cards. It's quite insane. But yeah, Rasheed, what were you saying?
Yeah, like other thinning cards like Commandos or the Dwarfs. I don't remember any card's name, but you know what I mean. Like, every faction has two 5 provision cards. When you play one with a condition, it pulls the other one, and it's like 8 points for 10 provisions because it thins. And this one's 9 provision, 11 points, and it thins. So it's way too good.
You like to look at it in terms of Scald too. Like, look at what a sad card Scald is and discard packages compared to this. Like,
that is true. There's no payoff unless you find a proper discard target, right? It's like nothing. It's 4. That's it, 4 points. Or you could set up the graveyard, but here it's like, okay, you can put up a mage, you can put up a special card and still get a cow carcass, Like, the flexibility that this card has is insane with assimilate value and things like that. But I think the only thing one of the changes I thought, at least personally, would be like to not spawn the Guardian part, Maybe that's one thing they could do because it's -3 points. But that would kill the card in the sense that if you don't thin the Mage Assassin, you get nothing, right? Because then nothing happens. Or if you don't move up the Afan, nothing happens, right? But I'm really interested to see how they're gonna nerf the card because we can smell enough, right? Like, you guys agree with that? 100%.
Yeah. I do think it's going to come, and as you said, I think the Guardian might be a good thing. Like you say, you could get nothing, but then on a dry pass, you could potentially put your Masquerade Ball on top, which is also like pretty valuable if you're okay with having like a 4 provision brick basically in your hand, or you banish it with Deadman's Tongue and stuff like that. But it's definitely too cheap for what it does. So either provision nerfs. I think I agree with Lance that I think it's a cool ability still to have. So it would be nice if it would still work the same way, but just be pricier. You have to pay to actually get that consistency.
So when it comes to NG, I guess that's basically the main thing, right? And let's see. I just hope that there is a certain balance to it, because in a way it was getting quite toxic, wasn't it? Like people just get tired of seeing imprisonment. They're like, oh god, it was like, I think the first time that you're more tired of seeing ball than you're tired of seeing clogs, right? Which is not a very healthy thing.
I don't know if I agree. I have to say, I don't know. I still have a personal vendetta with clog. I'd rather see ball than clog. I have to admit.
Right. Okay. True. That's true. That's fair. I mean, yeah. But the thing is, I just saw so much of ball. I was just like, please, just give me clog once. Like I was getting tired of it. Like, because I don't run.
Please give me clog.
Yeah. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, because you don't have a heat wave, right, in devotion decks, and they just slam the ball and you can't handle it, and they have the best scenario sitting over there with the tallest removal or whatnot. So it is pretty annoying, right? But all right, now from NG, right? I think that's stick to your guns. Yeah, sure. So coming from NG, we have the infamous Syndicate, right? Which is basically taking over the ladder, taking over people's MMR, and taking over people's first 4 decks or whatever, right? So when it comes to Jackpot, I have an honest question. Do you actually think it was play tested?
I mean, you think that it would be tested, and I think it was. Maybe, I honestly don't know. But yeah, I think maybe it's not the leader that's the issue. Maybe it's the fact that Syndicate just has all of these good golds. Of course, the Jackpot leader is so much less punishing. Syndicate used to be one of the trickier factions to play. Now, if you play Syndicate Jackpot and misplay a little bit, it doesn't really matter because of the extra added ability that it got. So I think that one was the part that really changed the game for Jackpot. The fact that you don't get too punished for misplaying with the faction now if you do go for Jackpot.
True, but that's the thing. Like, it feels like everyone is saying it, right? Even I think some of the pro players have said it, that it legit feels overtuned, because you can never overprofit, right? It is a 16 provision leader, right? And that's giving you a lot of provisions. If you saw Shield Wall when Shield Wall was something great, right? And now you see Shield Wall, it had become 13 provisions from what, 15 I think, or was it? And it kind of, made the play rate go instantly down in just one patch. So are we assuming that Jackpot is going to get the same treatment and become like this 14 provision leader? At least?
I don't know if it's going to get like the same treatment. I think it's going to be like nerfed slightly. I think they would avoid going for those hard nerfs. I could see something like the additional ability of Jackpot being removed, though. It's a little bit too good.
Yeah, because... yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna kind of say it's kind of interesting. Beginning of the season, and then like also similarly to when Cove was released, like a lot of people kind of like slept on it initially, and I don't know if people just kind of misevaluate Syndicate leaders right off the bat. And like Syndicate's big issue is like having to keep garbage spenders, and like when you can just take away that, you have a leader that can essentially take away the issue and free up your spending. I mean, it's only going to go well. I mean, we saw that with Cove, having the spenders on a stick. You could run less of those bad cards and just run the pure profit and just, spend it efficiently. And then you have Jackpot, which can go now protect all of your spenders as well. Like, it's not like old Jackpot, like you could still protect spenders. Like there's that trick with a Czar and then you buff a Scarab type of thing and you're protecting your spenders. But now you just drop an Ewald at like 6 points with an armor, and it's like, I don't even have to use the leader to defend him. He's here he is. So like, early on, but again, a lot of people kind of like I remember going into a life coach stream, and I just said, yeah, jackpot kind of solves a lot of the issues, and then life coach just responds like, it's just for the bad players. It's not going to be playable. It's just for bad syndicate players. I'm like, have you seen 99% of the ladder? 99% of the ladder is bad syndicate players. So
true.
It helps like 99% of the ladder. Yeah, but.
But I think even life coach, that's exactly what he said, right? Like it reduced the specialty of the faction, right? Like the fact that you have to pilot it well and you have to manage your coins and things like that. Like jackpot, you don't have to really worry about anything. If you're gonna over profit, you just don't care, right? Which
there's still like a lot of nuance though to it still as well. Like as Syndicate, just in it at its core is like more of a thinking faction. It gets overtuned right now, but there's people that lose points all the time. I mean, even with Cove, like a couple seasons ago, and like I remember watching Cams in the Quillan Cup just casually lose like 15 points in just one round, just by like missequencing a little bit. And like, although it's easier to play, people still can, lose so many points just in any given round, just because like there are still a lot of other decisions to be made.
True. But I think they have to tune it in some way. Like the cards seem fine, right? Like I think they even nerfed Professor by a provision finally, and they made him 12, right? Horson, people are saying make it 11 provisions, but I feel Horson is fine. I really don't see Horson being an issue. I think him giving 11 for 10 is okay, right? Because he gives you the value that it needs, and that's it. But maybe in Jackpot he is a bit overtuned because you really don't have to worry about over profiting again and such. But yeah, go ahead. You were saying.
So with Horson, like you say like 10 for 11 or whatever. I don't see it that way when it's removal, because it's usually much more than that. Like removal is valued way more than just sheer points, because like, oh, you remove an engine, then suddenly it's like 20 points then, instead of just like that flat.
Absolutely. So, like imagine removing a ton of elven tokens, like for example from Dead Eyes, and then the Horson gets like insane value. I'm just saying. I did not play any elves this patch, but still, I just mean the value of it becomes so much more than what he plays on deploy because of that removal and really disrupting someone's strategy. It's pretty easy. For example, you play against Koshi, Horson already becomes so valuable, removing the AQ. The larva, and removing Koshis, for example, and then maybe against AQ, you could disrupt their swarm strategy a little bit. Maybe not as much as the other examples, but still, like, just like Lance said, I think it was a very good point there.
Yep, that's true. I agreed. And Rashid, even when, I think on ladder, even at the, I'm not gonna MMR shame you, but even at the lower MMR, it's like, all you see is freaking jackpot, right? Like it's jackpot.
I don't mind. So here's the thing, from my experience in the low MMRs, even then jackpot players like screw up a lot of times. But the thing is, like, I feel like Syndicate's leaders give way too many provisions. Like most of them are 16 provisions, and like if you look, they can fit in a lot of like strong cards.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem, right? Which is what I was saying about the provision, right? Because they can fit in Jacques,
but it's not just
Professor,
jackpot, is what I'm saying.
Right, but the thing is, other than jackpot and maybe
really, Lance, really did. You couldn't even say it to my face.
I was told to keep it tame on stream.
On stream,
ignore what fucking Zuby said, dude. You can say whatever. What is he gonna do? Mute us?
Wow. I'm losing control here. Dennis.
Poor Zuby.
And I think only Cceely's the one who's maintaining decorum here.
I'm behaving.
But
I mean, this seems like the expected scenario. I don't know what you.
I know. I signed up for this. I know. Don't worry. But oh god, Denpai. But other than that, Rashid, when you see like Pirate's Cove and you see line pockets, and if you compare hidden cache, right? There's a reason why people decide to go for jackpot, because it just makes your piloting experience easier, right? Would you agree with that? Like, have you played jackpot a lot?
No, I haven't played it this patch.
Okay,
but stay away from meta decks.
Right. But the main thing is it makes your experience easy as, with playing the faction, right? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. Yes. But I don't think that's a problem. Like having one easy deck for a hard faction to make it accessible isn't a bad thing.
Okay.
But yeah, it is too strong.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's not about
Maybe that was the idea behind it.
Maybe. Because I think when we first saw the patch, the notes, when they did the developer stream and they said, oh, we're going to be giving this passive ability to it. But people, I remember people were like, oh, okay, that might be good. But I think Pirate's Cove is just better, in point output. In 1 week, it's just flooding the ladder, right? Because even I saw the combo where you can play Jacques, you can play Siggy, and you can just slam Caesar in between that. And that's it. You just make these points, which it's crazy.
Again, it's not just like the whole like you can spread out your coins in terms of like buffing those units when they profit. Like Siggy comes out, you can have a certain number of coins in the bank, but it also protects Siggy, which is huge. Because Caesar's big drawback was that you just go and remove Siggy and stuff, and it's like, okay, so he's a little bit lackluster now, but yeah, have fun removing Siggy when he comes down at 8-9 every time. Like,
yeah,
agreed.
They made profit 10 Siggy an actual reality, right? Because you wouldn't think of running profit 10 because you're not going to get 10 coins. But if you're going to be getting a 10 boost on him, you just run him day and night, right? And that's why the question was, do you think they actually play tested? Because the point output is just crazy, right? I don't know if they didn't notice that, or maybe, they just didn't have enough time to go into the specifics with Caesar and stuff like that. But I think it definitely requires certain tuning, and I do not think it's the cards. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think the cards need to be tuned themselves?
I think it's a bit of everything.
Yeah, okay. I think so. Yeah, combination. I would say that the goals are very strong. We talked a little bit about Horson, for example. I could see him getting a slight nerf, definitely.
Would that be a provision?
The goals are just very, very good. That could be a provision, yeah, just like Professor. His ability is cool. I would like to keep it, but he could be a little bit more pricier. Then it becomes like a little bit more difficult deciding which one of these like really good strong golds. Maybe you have to compensate a Jacques. Maybe you have to, because not really. You almost always fit a Jacques in alongside these other powerful golds, which maybe can be a little bit too strong potentially. And then the combination that we thought of is the passive ability of the leader, protecting your engines, provisions. It's just like you guys said. I think it's a combination of a little bit of everything.
Right. And one more thing, guys. So as we're going through here in chat as well, if you guys have any question which you would like to ask, please do go ahead. I think I forgot to mention it. So if you guys do have any question, please feel free to ask it. If we have time and if we have the, basically, the time, we will answer them. And of course, it has to be on topic. We can't ask something about why Rashid doesn't have hair or something like that. Okay. So, yeah. Other than that, right. So, Syndicate, I think we've discussed on that quite a bit. And it's pretty obvious, right? The next one, which I want to specifically talk about, is with monsters, right? And that is the Witch Apprentices. Ooh. I know it's a 4/4. And it has a Sabbath, which, Sabbath sounds hard to get. But do you think that it's a little overtuned? What would you guys like to say about that? Anyone can go ahead.
I could go ahead then and say I definitely think it's overtuned. But what I would like to see, I guess, in terms of fixing cards like this, is the Sabbath would be different for different cards. So, like, let's say She Who Knows keeps the Sabbath at, 25, and then maybe the Witch Apprentice, instead of nerfing the actual card, maybe its Sabbath could be 30, something like that.
30, okay. But
for example,
but would that make things more difficult? I mean, the thing is, it's easy to say, okay, make it 30, but maybe in actual practice, those 5 points could actually be annoying to get, because not only does the piggy, we call it piggy, it's fine. We're not going to call it the Witch Apprentice. Not only the piggy needs Sabbath, but something like the She Who Knows and, the Rat Catcheress, which is basically like your beta Goliath, right? If you do not have the Sabbath on. So it basically, affects every other card out there which depends on Sabbath. And we are going to be seeing more...
what I meant to say is different cards could have different Sabbath. Like you would still keep the same 4, let's say She Who Knows, but you adjust the Sabbath for just the Witch Apprentice, is what I'm saying. They don't all have to be, like, Sabbath doesn't have to be 25. You could say Sabbath and then specify the number.
Okay.
Is kind of what I'm bringing. That they could have different Sabbath requirements, potentially.
Okay. So what you're saying is specific points for specific cards is something that they could do. But assuming that, I think that would make it complicated. Somebody just said it as well. That might make things a little annoying, right, for piloting and things like that. But I think it's a very simple thing to change about the card itself, right? I think Apprentice is overtuned, as we've mentioned. So maybe a power change to it would make a big difference, because if it's from 4 and it goes to 6 removal is hard, right?
Yeah, it's really hard to remove.
Yeah, that's literally why they made Eredin and Unseen Elder 6 power, because they know it's hard to remove. That 6 is hard, right? So would it be like, I don't know, 3 power and 4 provision, or maybe 5 provision? Like what change do you guys think would actually happen?
I don't actually hate the card that much right now.
I was gonna say
maybe it's everyone else. Like, I don't even think it's like it's strong for sure, but it's not like a card you can just toss into every single monster's archetype. Like, I mean, Kelly can run like one of them, maybe, which is fine, but you definitely can't run both, because you can't, consistently get that Sabbath to get it up fast and get that going. Arrakis has a hard time fitting that in there. Like, a Swarm archetype doesn't really run the piggies. Like, it's just this point slam right now that we kind of gravitated towards, which is why they probably feel stronger. And I agree, like, 6 removal is a bit hard. I mean, maybe you could tune it down a point, like take it off the initial body, but I don't think something drastic needs to happen to the card, to be honest.
Yeah, I gotta say I agree with Lance, because if you think about the card, it does have a weakness, and the weakness is a short round. So it does have a little bit of a con. Of course, it's 4 provision, so it's not that hard, and you kind of want to mulligan it later. But again, like, just to respond to, like, the argument that it would be overcomplicated, I kind of disagree, because we can also remember, like, things like, okay, initiative on Igni. We can remember that it changes. I think we can remember that for other cards too. I wouldn't think it would be too complicated, but that's me. You can disagree, of course.
I like the change. Like, it just gives you a different one to balance cards than just power and provision. So I do like Sabbath potentially changing as well. And I mean, that's like no different than just having different adrenalines, in my opinion. Right?
I agree.
It's no more complicated than that.
Yeah. True. All right. And Rasheed, you were going to say something? Rasheed,
I don't remember what I was
you
say.
don't remember? Okay. Alrighty. But other than that, I think monsters got the. I think it got some good treatment with some good cards, right? Because as we see, I think Relics was, I think, even marked as a 4-star deck on the TLG meta report, and it is a good deck, because it's basically just slam points for days, right? You don't really have to worry. You can smoke on the red coin. You can just play your cards, of course, except for the Karanthia Koshi combo. But with this deck becoming, quick in success, and some good players getting to like 2600 with it, do you think that the Koshi is going to see some kind of a treatment or a change to it, with the lavas becoming 2 power now? Is the main thing.
Yeah, I could see like a provision or something tweak. I mean, it definitely got a huge buff with the larvas coming down it too.
Exactly. So
I honestly mind Karanthir, like, having double Koch case, where I think that's more of the problem, honestly.
But I think Karanthia is a very unique card, right? So maybe changing him would be something quite sad. I think he's been creating cards from your hand, I think, since Homecoming. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, but he's a card that, like, really limits design space. More, like, maybe put a provision cap on it. Because, like, Karanthir has been making problems for ages with ethereals, with living armor. Like, I just dislike the card's design.
Okay. But I think that is why they very specifically went with the fact that it can only create monster cards, right? Because I think it was abused with the Ethereal Demon as well, when it was a meta card and it was not, the order ability or whatever it is now. But I think killing that card would be quite sad, because he's basically the devotion Idaren Oulibu, right? And
I'm not saying kill it, but put a provision cap on it.
Okay, all right. Okay, we could see that. Something like what Renew does, you're saying? Like
Yes.
provision 1 to 9. Because Koshi's 10, for example.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that, Lance and Cceely? What do you comment on that?
I don't really have an issue with Caranthir per se. I don't ever. I think after he got changed, I think he's pretty fine. The double Koshi's been a thing. Like what made Koshi so much better is exactly the larva change that you mentioned. However, I don't think that the larva change is a bad thing. I think actually it's a pretty good thing for Koshi, and I love having this deck back in the meta that you can compare to something like the old Kiki Queen, the Kikimora Queen. That was also like a huge point slam deck, and it goes with that strategy, just points. It is quite easily disrupted. Skellige can disrupt it, Syndicate can quite easily disrupt it. We talk about Horse and Junior. There are definitely answers for the Koshis, and I currently don't have an issue with them. I think it's pretty nice seeing it back, and also I think the fact that Monsters definitely isn't up there in terms of like top 3 factions. I think it's competing for the best like 4th place with Skellige right now. I think that also says a lot about Koshi not being super problematic. I quite like the deck.
All right.
I think my view of Koshi is a little bit biased because the main games I watched was Gravish playing against it with a defender and full test in hand every game on Blue Coin and just slams the full test, and they're going down like 3 or 4 cards just to catch up. And it's like, okay, Siege in a long round, good luck.
Yeah,
it was just hilarious to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you don't run Pincer and you're talented enough to draw Defender, Foltest, and a Dun Banana in your hand, you have won the round.
Or scroll decks on Blue Coin.
Or scroll decks. That is true. That's true. It's like you've passed the skill check and you deserve to win the round, right? Basically. So, which is why even Foltest feels a little overtuned. But I think that Foltest is fine. I think he is the card that he is supposed to be. And it's finally something that Enna got at that high-end gold value, right? Which at least gives you the payoff that, yes, you are going to win the round because you spent a really expensive card. Because let's face it, I think when it comes to the bronzes, they do have good bronzes, but something like a Karak Marine requires devotion, right? So paying off with such things, I guess Enna got the fair treatment. But maybe Ballista is the only issue, right? So
Cultist kind of requires devotion too.
Exactly.
For the extra carryover.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It got the payoff that it deserved, right? Because you're sacrificing a few things in devotion with your Karak Marines and stuff, and then Foltest himself gives you that additional point, which could actually be really valuable, right? So, all right. So going away from NR, what do you think about Scoia'tael? I mean, Scoia'tael, this faction, I would say the cards are great that we saw, right? The Sorceresses, the Whisperers, they're lovely designs. I really like the design, the approach that they had. It gives that special card synergy that it required. But it's a dead faction, sadly. Not many people are playing it, right? So what do you guys think required to be, tuned or requires to be changed in order to make it good again? Is there anything in your mind?
We're talking about Scoia'tael, right?
Yes, Scoia'tael. Yes.
I don't know. Scoia'tael is in such a weird place because it feels like the last, like some of the cards they got before this expansion really supported unitless, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like Scoia'tael needs like a redesign, honestly.
Okay, redesign in what sense though? Are you saying to change like the bronzes or the gold, the core golds or whatever?
I don't know. Like, it's so first of all, I don't play Scoia'tael, so I can't like. But I don't know. It feels weird because like, so like from what I understand, they don't want unitless to they didn't want unitless to be a thing after Homecoming's launch.
True.
But now they kind of supported in ST. But it's so weird and it's so binary, and I don't know. Scoia'tael is just weird. I feel like it needs a redesign, but I don't know even where to start.
All right. Cceely, any comment on that? Is there any it doesn't have to be like a direct answer, even if it's like a slight idea which could, maybe put it in the right direction, because of course it's hard to balance a game and make changes, but if there's any small idea.
What I would say is the issue with Scoia'tael is that, well, like Rashid mentioned the unit list, for example. Unit list doesn't do very well against like super point slam that just goes wide and puts a lot of points on the board immediately. Something like Koshi, for example. And, you just don't have you can't control enough with the unit list strategy. And then another issue for Squirtle right now is the fact that a lot of it is engine based. A lot of it plays like the movement, for example, that we saw. All of those are engines. Harmony, if you want to play that, it's also engines, and removal is key in this meta. You have the imposter leader from Nilfgaard that you see all the time, everything getting locked. You have Syndicate with such efficient removal, and then you have Elves, which is nice point slam. It works, but then come in Horton Jr. and you can have your board wiped in one turn. So the thing that's working right now for Squirtle is obviously the non-devotion symbiosis deck that Red Ram, I believe, played to a very, very high MMR. That one is still working because it does mainly like the point thing, but also offers control. So it does have those tools if you want to go non-devotion with it. But I don't know if it's Squirtle that needs a rework, or is it the removal that needs to be tuned down a little bit for these types of engine decks to really be able to thrive and survive.
True. All right. And Lance, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's my thing about Squirtle, right? Like, we look at the past couple seasons, about what decks were playable in Squirtle, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. We had Elf Swarm being like one of the big main ones. A couple different iterations of it, as well as the Devotion Gift. Now, you look at those in the current meta, and it's like, what do they even do? Kind of like Cecilia said, they have Horson just to go clean up all your elves. So you want to play Elf Swarm? Oh, Horson cleans that up. Oh, Siege cleans that up. And also, NR got a whole bunch of tools that really resist bleeds very well. So, like, Smorking and Bleed with Devotion Scoia'tael, they can just have Shani in like a round 3, and then, So there's a lot of decks just kind of like do really well into what Scoia'tael had to offer. Like, and you look at Elves too, and it's like, so you clean up by Horson, you clean up by Siege. It's like incredibly tough to get round control with more of the Elf lists against the current meta. So like, they're just not doing anything well. They don't have like good answers for any of the decks currently that are popular.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the only way that Scoia'tael was seeing its survival this season was, I think, with what Red Ram was playing, right? The non-devotion version, which just purifies everything, right? And it's only good against certain matchups like the Bounty or, something like Poisons or something. And even then, it's bad because you just go so tall with your Hammer Dryads that one tall removal and you lose the round, right? Which is pretty annoying. And then all this carryover that you get from Dunka is just, like, it's sad. Like, if there's one tall removal and again, the round is in kind of a jeopardy. And then the only other tall unit that you have is your Herald God, which is your finisher, right? And when we see this stuff like Skellige Reckless Flurry being a thing, they just axe you and end your day right there, right? So, and yeah, everyone is spamming Gwent is back. That is true. Gwent is back, and we will be playing soon. But yeah, so Scoia'tael, sure, it is difficult to see, what could help. Maybe give them more removal is one thing, potentially. Oh god, okay, Energix. So, giving them is one thing, like giving more removal, but let's see what CDPR have in store for us. And then when it comes to neutrals, we really saw just two main cards, right? Which is Teleportation and Megascope. Teleportation, fine, it's a very conditional card. But what do you guys think about Megascope being a 4-provision card? Like,
I love it. I love it.
It's a really cool card.
So many memes.
Yeah. Right? And but what about stuff like in Skellige? Isn't it being abused there? Don't you think?
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, on great swords, you pay quite a lot for the great swords. Usually they come down as a 4 unless you use a leader charge, which makes it a 7. But you spend a leader charge, so it's kind of expensive protecting your great sword in Skellige deck. So it's fairly easy to remove, and if it gets removed, you immediately miss out on the Megascope value. And I think it's just a really, really cool card. Like Rashid said, it's a fun card because it enables all kinds of combos, like really mimi combos. I don't know, Scoia'tael, you could play like those, the flute girls, I don't know what they're called. That's for example pretty cool. Or you could just, or your teleportation is even cooler on those actually. But you have a lot of cool combos. I feel like I said the word cool like 50 times, but it's a cool card.
And Lance, how would you like to talk about that?
Talk about
Megascope, like just as a card, do you think it's fine? Like I think it's fine too, like personally.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It enables memes. It's not like super broken strong. It's strong in Skellige when it works, but it can obviously be dealt with. You need to have that greatsword sticking on the board or a Bear Witcher, which I mean, Bear Witcher is not a bad backup, but like you still can be disrupted. And obviously going into short rounds, like round 3s, you're screwed into mulliganing into that. Like if you don't have it in round 1, it's obviously a lot weaker too. So.
Right. Okay. So that covers all the factions, right? We've spoken about the main stuff. Of course, Francesca was a new card as well, but I don't know how you're gonna really change. I think the card is fine on its own. Like the fact that it has Veil makes it itself quite a scary engine to deal with because you have to somehow remove it. You can't really lock it or anything. But not seeing her run definitely means that they have to maybe give it some help. Right, and I think they tried that with Queen Meve, but I think Meve is still, sadly, feels meme man card, right? But let's see, if they do make a change to Francesca, sure. So, okay, before we get on with the next part, I had a few questions which I found interesting in the chat, which I'm going to be asking you guys here, right? One of them was to Cceely, and I think BJ wanted to know something about your Finnish culture. Would you like to share? Yeah, anything you would like to share about that? It's actually something interesting.
Anything about Finnish culture?
Anything.
He's not wondering about anything in particular?
If BJ wants to give anything...
We can specify. I can see the chat if he wants to, but maybe I can start by saying that Finnish culture is quite unique. We're a little bit of an antisocial people, very non-talkative. What else? Oh, there's like at least 2 meters distance, even if there isn't a pandemic going on at the bus stop, you don't talk to strangers. We tend to be quite, we like a good sauna and a beer, and small talk is definitely not our thing. I think it's kind of like unique in a way, but you might find it, if anyone ever ends up in Finland, it might be a bit of a culture shock. If you come from, like, let's say the States or somewhere where, like, small talk is everything and you should be good at it.
I mean, we are talking about Twitch chat. I think we're all honorary Finnish people.
Yeah,
fair enough. You all fit in.
And there was one question to Rashid. Is it coming home?
Did someone from Brexit write that? It's not coming home, guys.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are watching the Euro right now, but yeah, it is.
Wait, the Euros are now?
I think so. I think it should be going on now.
Is that why Denpai fucking ditched?
Bruh, I told you, control the swearing, man.
Freaking ditched it. That's what I said.
Soccer, am I right, guys?
Okay, there you go. Lance is triggering the chat before we get on with the next topic. Oh my god. I hope you guys didn't hear that. Anyway, alright, let's, if we see any more questions related to the next topic, we shall ask and answer them. So, next topic we're gonna quickly talk about is casting and streaming, right? So, honestly, you both make it look really easy, to be honest. You guys are a great duo. I have watched you guys... what? So yeah, I have watched you guys cast together and you did a really good job. And you guys are a natural at it, to be honest. So how do you do it? Like, do you guys, mentally prepare for it or anything? Or how do you approach the whole casting thing?
I can go ahead, I guess. Sure. I think something like really natural is like when you're a duo and you're casting, it really helps knowing the other person and like being comfortable with them. I mean, we know each other. We're great friends with Lance, and and he's saying no, don't listen to him. No, I mean we have good kind of base chemistry in a way that we know each other and we can joke around, and it doesn't have to like feel very formal always. I think we take that approach with Lance, which is pretty cool. Him, so I guess even more than me, but he's taught me to kind of like not be nervous and be chill and just be yourself and have fun, because casting is a lot of fun, and sometimes sometimes when you're really nervous, you can forget about it. But I think we're just chilling. That's our thing.
Yeah.
So I like to cast after my role model Snoop Dogg. If you guys watch the Mike Tyson fights, like that show match, what was it, like December or something like that, like a while ago, they had Snoop Dogg casting, so they had like legitimate boxing casters there, and then Snoop Dogg sitting there smoking weed. Like, it was the funniest thing I had ever seen. He's just sitting there, he's basically was just memeing it up. And I'm like, this is wonderful. They had like actual casting, but then someone just memeing in the corner. So I want to be the memer in the corner for the most part. Like, I don't know, throwing a mom joke here or there, make it a little comfortable. I don't know. I don't enjoy the really like, just straight edge casting, I guess.
Right. And Rasheed, if you were given the opportunity to cast something, how would you react, and how would you go ahead with that?
Well, I already casted an artifact tournaments. Thank you for knowing about that, dude.
I honestly did not know about that, but okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm just overcasting, honestly. Like, so in Artifact, it was like the Wild West where no one cared about the game, even Valve. So you could get away with pretty much everything, but I feel like in Gwent it's way more strict. Like, I can't even cuss on this freaking podcast, dude.
You are allowed to cuss, and you literally did. There's a limit to it, though, right?
Yeah, I said freaking. I just said freaking.
I know, but it's not like you can't cuss. I mean, maybe like, I think if you see, Flake sometimes, he does say some things which are pretty weird in an official casting, right? It might be a movie reference or something, but it is pretty weird. So it depends on how you deliver it, I think, is a very important thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I asked Speci to do me a favor, and during the Gwent Open, call someone a sussy baka, and he won't even do that, so...
Okay, I see. Yeah. So if people in chat don't know about Sussy Baka, I think that is something that you could Google. It's not something really bad, to be honest, but it's
not
just
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It just sounds bad, but you'll be surprised how it's not, right? But yeah,
that sounds like a setup for a spicy Google, to be honest. Yeah, dude, it worked, guys. It's not bad.
Right.
It's not bad. Baka just means idiot in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sussy means suspicious. That's all it means.
And like my in that flow, like I think my next question was going to be, like what tips that like you, Cceely or Lance, could have to aspiring casters as well. But I think you answered that already by saying, just have fun, and what else would you say? Like, what, be in the moment, I guess? How else would you say to inspire them?
I don't know, go with the flow, because like I don't know, like, problem is with the tournament client, I mean, we've all seen it, you have to just kind of push past it, because mistakes are going to happen, and it's a live cast, especially if you're the streamer while casting. You need to just go with the flow and expect interruptions, and then kind of just play off them, because if you start to get really nervous, and then it becomes very hard to watch real quick. So
yeah, I think as Pab said, right, just cast a game that works, Forehead. Like, we literally, like, I think the only thing that comes in the way of a game and casting is the client for now, but I think they are hopefully working on it, because I think they had mentioned it a while back that it is one of their priorities. So hopefully that comes into, existence, and they fix it to a proper extent where it doesn't break. And all right, coming to you, Lance, specifically, right? We did talk about how, Quill and Cup is taking a small break, and it will be back with a big format and, expecting more people, etc. But what made you start the Quill and Cup? Like, I don't know if people have asked you this before. Maybe they have. But I want to know. What made you start the Quill and Cup?
So, I wasn't playing Gwent much at the time. Okay. Basically, like, my whole starting into casting was Demorcus asking me to help out for the first World Cup. I casted it with Spiro a year and a half ago now, and I just loved it. I casted once beforehand, but it wasn't like my cup of tea at the time, and I just really wanted to keep going. And then the first invitational came along, and me and Cecilia casted that together. It was a lot of fun, really long, but a ton of fun. And I kept wanting to have more opportunities, and then we had like a little Sunday showdown type of thing. But I wanted again more, like because I didn't enjoy playing Gwent as much. I felt bad, so I wanted casting was the thing I enjoyed. So then I just decided, hey, why don't I just start my own tournament? I just one day, and then I kind of just drew up some basic rules, what I could afford for like a prize pool, and like it was because I wanted to cast more, and I just wasn't getting any opportunities. There wasn't that many community events at the time, and the ones that were happening weren't asking me to cast. So, if you want to cast, just start, and you're a streamer, just start doing it. That's how you get people to notice. You just have to start doing it.
True.
And thankfully I had a lot of like pro players and GOG guys to help me out with the first Quillan Cup, and then it became people want to play with more of the pros, and then you could it was easily accessible, I think was the big thing.
All right, that's interesting as well. Like personally, even me, I do enjoy casting here and there, and if you remember, I even took it up right when you you won well and such, and me and Soy took it up. So yeah, that's the thing, right? I think it's something that just comes in naturally. I guess even you wanted to just not play the game seriously maybe, but just cast and how do we put it? Make the game interesting, I guess, by just not watching it, but at least commenting on it and making it somewhat interesting, right? I think it's something that you enjoy to do as much as I would enjoy to do, for example, right? And we even have people like Speci, who really was dedicated to doing it, and now you see where he is, right? He has a spot in the Open to cast this Sunday, right? So and of course tomorrow as well. So yeah, it's definitely about being recognized in a way. Rashid, do you think you will ever be recognized? It's a simple question.
My dream in Gwent is to do the player interviews in Gwent Masters. But I don't think it's gonna happen. But I wish I could. Wait, how do I say this in a clean way? I want to ask players about their pre-game self-diddling rituals. I think that's what people want to know about.
Self-diddling rituals. That's a brand risk, as someone said in chat right now. That's a self-diddling. Okay, I mean it's a nice way to put it, but imagine if CDPR interview you for that, and you tell them, I'm gonna ask them what they do, how they self-diddle before a tournament. How would you think they're gonna receive that?
I mean, it's better than asking, how did you prepare? How do you think your opponent is gonna do? Do you respect him? That kind of thing. We need trash talking, like wrestling. We need drama. I don't want to hear, like, Shaggy saying he respects Life Coach. Like, I want to hear someone calling someone else a sussy bastard.
Okay, so you want this type of feud and this kind of fire between...
Okay, do you guys know, what was his name again? PPD. PPD was around during beta. He's also like used to be a Dota professional player, and in Dota he always used to do that things, and it makes the matches a lot more interesting. It creates a lot of things to talk about. Why can't we have that? It's an online game. Let us have fun.
So like so for like the first Open, we did that little side cast thing, and we interviewed like all the people playing in it. It was a lot of fun, and we tried to bait them into like they wanted to give Tailbot like suggestive questions to like get him to trash talk again. Didn't really work out, but and like just kind of touching on why maybe more people don't in Masters, Gravish decided to do a little bit of not like super hard shit talk, but like kind of memed on cams a little bit, and then you have cams come in here all wholesome. Oh, I hope everybody does really well. I love everybody, and then you're shitting on someone who's like super wholesome, and then you just feel terrible.
That is true, because they don't hear each other's interview, right? They just ask them, and they hear it only during the open or during the stream or whatnot. So that's the thing. I think it's scary.
I think it would work better if they were like in person, like with each other, like kind of like, you know, like before boxing fights where they square up type of thing.
Yeah.
Like then you could have more of a shit talking aspect. But I mean, that's I feel like kind of cringy for esports. But you know.
All right. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just a few more questions, one or two of them, and we should be good here. There was one good question about the tournament line breaking, and post that, as a professional caster, what do you think is the right approach? Like, of course, like in the Quill Cup, I think when the client breaks, you just request one of the players to come in Discord, share the screen, and you cast that, right? But if it happens at a professional level, what do you think is the solution? It is a little tricky, isn't it?
I mean, I just like to make a joke out of it. I just laugh at this point because, like I like when the screen, like, I don't know if you saw some of the games when the screen started turning pink, and I was loving that. I was loving every minute of the screen just being pink, and we had to take a guess based on sounds what the hands are. That's fun to me. I don't know. I kind of love chaos a little bit with that, but yeah, I don't know. You obviously get them in a call, and you have to have backups for sure.
Yeah,
like you can't just go in and.
I think even like the official casting, I think when the official casters are watching, it's I think through a certain YouTube stream or something, right? I think Mr. Repic is the one who gets the tournament line going, and they watch it through that, right? I think that is to just make sure that nothing ever goes wrong in a way. Maybe they've properly coded Mr. Repic's profile to access every game without breaking it or something. But it is something annoying for like weekly tournaments, right? Because people like Trinet do it on a weekly basis, for example. Like he does it every Saturday, right? And for him having certain issues is definitely bad. But again, hopefully they come around and fix that issue. And on another note about the Quill Cup again, okay, because it's a very fun cup, Quill. I enjoy it myself as well. But what can people expect more from you, like the next time it comes back? Like, would you like the people, like, can you just let them know? What can we expect?
I don't know, more like a league type of format, I guess. It's similar prize pools, but just a lot more games. Probably not just going to be me only casting. Going to conscript a lot of different people, probably, to just be able to, because I mean I can only cast so, like when I want to do it all myself, I can only cast so many games, right? Like I have to keep it limited in terms of like entry, but I feel like if I get more people on board, I can expand it further. So just more games, I guess.
All right, and in what month can we expect this? Like in 2 months from now, maybe?
It's probably it's going to be around October, November again. Probably it's going to be a little while. Well, because I want to do it when the competitive when there's no more like open qualifiers, because those are so annoying to plan around. So
right. And to end on that, there's a very nice question in chat. Which Gwent card do each of you think matches your personality? So Rasheed, I want to start with you. It's a very interesting one for you for sure. Which Gwent card
personality or me in general? Like
you as a person, which Gwent card would suit you immediately?
Madame Louisa.
Horizon, because I have a flat ass. I don't know, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh wow, okay. Okay, Horizon. Alright, sure. Horizon Junior, right? Not Senior.
I don't know, the dude in the hot tub.
The Junior, okay. Yeah, flat ass isn't something to be proud of, Rasheed, I guess.
I'm not proud! Okay?
Because I should stop laughing, to be honest. Okay, Cceely, which Gwent card do you think will suit you the most? I know it is a difficult one. Just on the top of your head, go.
I would be a ballista because I'm a god gamer and I need to be nerfed.
Wow, that's a very modest answer.
I don't know. It's a hard question. I'm kidding, of course.
Okay. No worries. So you're a ballista, and
I would like to be a ballista.
I'd like to be a ballista, which is a god gamer, and you should be nerfed. Makes sense. All right, Lance, what about you? Come on.
full test. Just
Why?
get the game over in round 1. Want to move on? Just be done.
That's true. That does make sense then. All right. So that does conclude the questions from chat and from our end as well. But before we go, would you at least like to tell the lovely people where we can find each of you so that they can find you on Twitter, YouTube, etc. Cceely, go first. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll tell you if you tell us what card you would be. I think we all want to hear it.
All geared because of my haircut.
Nice.
Or Erland, I guess. I'm not sure. But I would say that. Not Mata Hori for sure. It's definitely all geared. Because I kind of like all geared as a character as well. Like from the game as such, the way he is. You know? I'm not Uma. Okay. Everyone's saying Uma. Okay. Alright. No, I'm not Uma Denpai. Okay. And Denpai is all god, by the way.
Question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Because, like, everything needs drama, you know, to spice things up. So can everyone say, like, the streamer they dislike the most?
Oh my god.
Rashid.
That's an easy one.
Wow, good talk now.
Okay, Rashid, who do you dislike the most? Go ahead.
B-Fox, because he's dodging our boxing match. It's B-Fox.
I see.
And when he comes back, I'll remind him.
And personally, me, I genuinely don't dislike anyone. Like, I don't know.
Stop lying. You talk shit about everyone in my DMs.
No!
Don't make me leak DMs.
Sure, go ahead. Leak him. Leak him away. Because I don't.
Leak him? Oh, you don't. I'll send you some DMs after we're done, dude.
Oh, wow. Okay. I see. But yeah, alright. Let's conclude, guys. I think we've kept you guys here long enough. I do not want to keep you here longer than it should be. And Cceely, please go ahead. Where can we find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/Cceely with 2 C's, just like it's written, I think, there on the screen. And I do have a YouTube channel as well, which you should also find somehow, I think. But yeah,
it's not the same name.
I think it's with 1 C or something. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like just one. It's a bit confusing. My Twitch username is with 2 C's because someone already stole my name. Otherwise, it would just be 1 C. Anyway, you can find me there on Twitch. I stream Gwent a lot. So maybe I'll see you there.
Alrighty. And Lance, where can we find you?
Kind of a waste of time to follow me at the moment, so
I'm still.
And I'm being honest, I was never one for branding, and sure as shit ain't tweeting right now. So I don't know. I guess just pay attention towards the end of the year for Quill and Cup stuff. I don't like Quill and Lance, I guess. Probably not going to post anything anytime soon, though.
Alrighty. And Rashid, do we even need to ask? Like, you're famous, right? But go ahead.
Yeah, sub to my OnlyFans. It's NUT Rashid. Please.
NotRasheed.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's a creative name. Yeah, Duke noted it. You're going to be getting a sign up really quickly. Yeah, that's true. Vasquez is true, guys. If any of you think I'm ever toxic, I literally recommend my mom's recipes to Denpai, and he literally cooked them on stream as well. I'm a good boy. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah, she recommends them to me a lot too.
Oh god. I mean, I jumped into that one, to be fair, but okay. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being on. You guys were lovely. The chat was lovely as well. Rashid had his fun timing out people as well. And we will be back 2 weeks from now with another episode. It's already been planned. And I really can't wait to announce the next episode as well and what we're going to talk about. So until then, take care, stay safe, and if you can, get vaccinated. Okay. I shall see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Rashid, wave. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. See ya.
And we're doing another giveaway for a subscription to the Bandit Gang YouTube channel, and the winner is... Oh, exciting! Woo! The winner is... It's you! Woohoo! You just activated subscription down below. Congrats!